Hello, I'm FerrousPilot, and today we're going to be playing 50 Years. This is a coffee break strategy game that the developers sent me a key for, and I immediately thought it was a good idea because I like this idea of shortening the campaign on strategy games to make it a little bit more casual and a little bit more new user friendly, if that makes any sense. So we're just going to start off a new game here. I'll talk a little bit more about the game as we play it. First of all, I just want to say the art is actually pretty good. I will say that, first of all, no widescreen, and also second of all, making it bigger is not the same as increasing the resolution. So the art is actually larger if you make it full screen like I have done, but it doesn't actually scale properly. It just scales everything up uniformly. So you can see like the buttons, for example, look really low res. It's very noticeable. And that's something that needs to be worked on, especially if they're planning on charging for a game like this. So that's something to consider. But anyways, the American race has a bald eagle on her shoulder. It's actually pretty hilarious. Let's check out some of the others. This one, the British, I think is actually pretty clever. At first, you're like, whatever, it doesn't look stereotypically British. There's no cup of tea or anything like that. But you see, she's holding chess pieces in her hand, the king and queen, which the British are famous for. Very clever. Greeks are just like straight out of Greek mythology, so there's nothing even to talk about. There's a freaking minotaur there. The Russians, I don't know why she has wings. There's also architecture in the background that is reminiscent of Russia, which makes sense. The Japanese, there's a bridge, and for some reason, there are dragons in the background, which I don't understand. At first, I thought it was Godzilla, which would be silly. The French don't actually use broadswords? Do they? Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not a historian here. The best part is French wounded units retreat. That's their bonus. Like, what the hell, game? That's pretty damn stereotypical. The Celts, or Celts, I don't know what you call it, but there are wolves in the background and stuff. I'm not familiar with Celtic mythology. Romans are cool. They look Roman. It's pretty nice. The Byzantines, I don't understand. I guess they have an empire. That's like, whatever. Americans have a pretty... I have already won the game once with Americans, so I'm going to pick like not Americans. I guess I'll go... I don't want to go British. Fuck the British. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually mean fuck the British. I mean, in terms of the game benefit that they give you, I don't really like Foresters' huts very much, so I'm not going to pick the British. The Greeks seem pretty cool, I guess. They're not that useful, in my opinion. The Russians can't build lumber mills, and in my opinion, lumber mills are the most valuable, or the wood tech tree is the most valuable. We'll see that in a second. I guess I don't really want faith. I don't really care about... You know what? Let's go Romans. Let's go Romans. And here you have like the base... This is like all the game is, essentially. Like there's two modes. There's like fighting mode, and then there's this mode. Scouting doesn't actually do anything. Every now and then you'll have an event pop up that's like, hey, your scouts found something, and then you can go here and fight stuff there. But for now, you can't really do anything. You can construct buildings, which are cool. Each of them have special effects. Right now, we're not going to construct any of these because they're not all that valuable to us. We're going to hire a peasant, and we're going to hire a swordsman. I like to get that first early swordsman because sometimes the enemy attacks you, and then you can't do anything if you don't have one. But anyways, so the game, as the title suggests, lasts for 50 years. Each year is one turn. So you end the year, that ends a turn. We got attacked. We fight. You can't really control these guys. They just sort of move on their own and battle. You watch them, which is fine, I guess. You gain faith points for winning battles. You can spend faith points on swordsmen because we're Roman, only because we're Roman. But also, some of these buildings, for example, allow you to hire paladins and stuff that cost faith to hire. I will say I think the balance of these tech trees is not that good, in the sense that this wood tech tree is really great because it allows you to essentially use your peasants to create wood and use wood exclusively to build buildings and to hire units. Whereas with faith, you have to first buy knights and then convert them to other things. And buying knights costs gold, and then converting them costs faith. So it doesn't seem very worth it to me. Just my 2 cents. Anyways, we're just going to hire nothing. We're just going to end the year, I guess. We're going to hire peasant. We're We're going to end the year. As I was saying, it's a very short game, but I think that helps it a little bit, because one of the problems with strategy games, which is, I don't know if you'd call it a problem exactly, it's an inherent aspect to strategy games, is that you have this element of slow failure where you make a decision early on that compounds itself as the game goes on and eventually leads to your failure. The problem with that is that in a typical, oh, we need food. All right, let's build a chicken farm. The problem with that is that in a typical strategy game, you might make a decision 2 hours in that 10 hours in leads to your failure, and they're very disconnected. And as the player, you have no idea of tying 2 and 2 together. But in a game like this, which only lasts for a little while, if a game only lasts an hour, then it doesn't matter if you made the decision at 30 minutes and you lost at an hour, you still kind of figured out what the problem is, because they're much more tightly tied together. So you know what the issue is. And here, I don't know. If I hire a peasant, it's going to give me 500. I will have enough to hire a knight anyways next turn, so I'm going to just do that. We discovered the chicken devil's altar. Deal with the chicken devil. We can banish the devil. You can also deal with it, and it'll give you some powerful stuff, but then it takes your soul, which taking your soul essentially means that it's just like a modifier to your ending. I don't think it actually does anything from a gameplay standpoint, but it makes the game a little bit easier if that's what you would prefer. But anyways, as I was saying, I'm gonna hire swordsman here. As I was saying, that's why I really like this idea of a short-term campaign for strategy games. I also like the idea of a short-term campaign, by the way, for RPGs, which I think benefit in the same respect, because they're all always branded about choice and consequence. But you can't really have choice that is meaningful if it doesn't actually have any meaning in the long term. Plus, strategy games are also about weighing short-term benefit, which is what you get if you hire more combat units, versus long-term benefit, which is what you get when you hire peasants. So this is very transparent. It almost feels like, I don't want to say a board game, but it feels very much like it makes sense why they've made the decisions that they have, except for making this tech tree kind of terrible. But anyways, I totally forgot to talk about the scouting. Every now and then you got that, you remember that chicken altar event? Every now and then you get events like that tell you, hey, here's something you can do. And most of them are fighting. That chicken altar one is just, I think it's hard coded in. But sometimes these other ones are randomized somewhat between like 1 or 2 options. And you go in and you fight people and you get some rewards and stuff out of it. By the way, we can hire swordsmen because of our faith. So that's pretty cool. You need food to hire more units. Peasants are gated by town halls. Units are gated by their respective buildings that you require to make them. So swordsmen are gated by barracks, stables, knights. So yeah, I think next up we're going to get probably a stable. But for now, peasants. We found a poacher's den. I'll show you guys real quick. They have 4 archers, which I don't think we can take on right now. And they have a free forester's hut. By the way, forester's hut gives you a food and it gives you 50 gold. It's pretty worthwhile, actually. Speaking of which, I'm actually considering getting one right now, so I'll do that. Not enough food. Okay, yeah. Forester's hut, peasant. All right, so that's gonna, I just want to boost our income up early as soon as possible. We don't need our militiamen right now, so we'll just fight. Calling your militiamen actually makes them not generate income. So militiamen is essentially you're hiring a peasant to come into battle for you. They're really weak in battle, and it prevents them from generating income. So it's generally preferable to not have them be in battle if you can help it. Next up, I kind of want to get a lumber mill and then get started on the shooting ground, because yes, this is going to earn us less gold, but the benefit of this is that it'll get us wood, which is awesome because it'll get us ranged units. But I think I'm going to actually go with food for now, because we do need food. And yeah, that's going to be the end of our year here. I'm a little bit worried about the small size of our army. That's okay for now. We'll just continue to hire peasants. And if we need to, then we can always call them into battle if it comes to that. Anyways, now we have plenty of money. And you can see these archers don't actually cost money to hire. They just cost wood. So that's really nice, because then we can get swordsmen and we can get archers. But for now, I think we're just going to max out our peasants if we can. And next up is going to be a forester's hut for 350 gold. I think it's a pretty good idea. It'll give us a little bit more gold income and a little bit more food as well, which we can then use to hire another peasant. And this is a situation where I would like to call upon at least one militia. Why is our archer at the front? That's the stupidest thing. But yeah, at least one militiaman. He may die, but that's okay. Like I said, totally. Oh no, we've lost. We've lost the game, guys. I shouldn't have done this. Special game, by the way, is should have called more militiamen. Special game, by the way, is it allows you to like play the game with certain modifiers. So I guess that gives it a little bit more replay value, which is cool. I'm gonna start another new game, and I'm gonna start on normal. See, I actually really like this game. This is the problem. It has such poor polish, but it's actually a lot of fun to play. Like, this reminds me of a Flash game that I would play on my web browser, which is not a bad thing. I like a lot of Flash games that I play in my web browser, but it's just the level of polish is not quite there. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.